Today's episode of Filmmaker U is brought to you by our sponsors OWC. Go to owcdigital.com for all your filmmaking and computer needs. And it's also brought to you by our other sponsors, AJA. Make sure to check out aja.com so that you can see how they can help you in your post-production needs. Hi, I'm Gordon Burkell from Filmmaker U. At Filmmaker U, we create courses for film professionals to deepen and diversify your existing skill set. You can learn more at filmmakeru.com or, of course, follow us on Twitter at filmmaker_u. Every week, we interview film professionals to discuss their work, and this week I'm joined by cinematographer Jay Visit, whose work recently includes They Call Me Magic. Welcome to the show, Jay.
Thanks for having me.
So I guess my first question is, how did you get involved with They Call Me Magic?
Oh, so I've worked with Delirio before on some other projects, and they called me up when they were in need of someone to do some of the interviews, and then I worked with Rick, and we just kind of got along, and I started doing more of the stuff.
So how much was like from a story perspective, because we know sort of the story arc for Magic was like a lot of that sort of written out and structured for you guys to work on to determine the look, or how is that sort of figured out?
No, not really. I mean, like it was kind of there was definitely a certain look in terms of locations and production design, and then we kind of just adapted the style based off of those certain locations. But a lot of it was thought out about like what kind of background would work for certain players, certain coaches, whoever, and we just kind of went that way.
Interesting. So how many interviews, like my other question is like, how many interviews did you do sort of pickup interviews for? Like because usually I've seen in some cases they'll do like, here's an interview, let's say with Magic, they come back, but they interview someone else and then they got to come back and ask. So how many sort of pickup interviews did you do?
There wasn't that many. I mean, there were for some, like specifically for like Magic's family and stuff like that, but Magic and Magic's family. But the other players like Jordan or Bird, like those are kind of like one-offs, and then maybe occasionally there'd be a pickup, but most of the time they're kind of self-contained interviews.
Interesting. Now, were you a basketball fan before you got involved in this?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So how excited were you to meet like Bird and Jordan and Magic?
Oh, those were like amazing. It was like one of the main things. I was like, being part of this doc was great. Meeting all these kind of like NBA legends. It's pretty amazing. You don't do that every day.
Yeah. Is there a particular player that you were really excited about, or one that sort of stuck out for you?
Jordan for sure.
Yeah.
You hear a lot about Jordan, but in the end he's just as competitive as everyone says he is. And but he's nice.
Yeah. Now you guys use the Canon EOS C500 Mark II, right? So what was the reason for choosing that camera?
So that it's like a good doc camera to kind of just roll on these like longer interviews, but it also has some pretty great latitude with highlights and shadows. And sometimes we were in these locations where I wouldn't even see what we were doing. We just had permission to film, someone at so and so place. Yeah. And so walking in with kind of a set lighting package and exposing for windows and whatnot, it was a good camera to kind of be all around kind of useful.
And you guys used the Samir prime lenses.
Yeah, those were great too. Yeah, they didn't have too much like aberration, and we were able to shoot fairly wide open on some things and didn't have any kind of like focus issue.
So when you get on a project like this, how do you like to prepare with the director so that you're on the same page?
For this one, it was a lot of spread out days, and so sometimes we would just like text locations or text some stuff to each other and kind of figure it out that way. So it wasn't a lot. I wouldn't say it's a lot of like prep necessarily. It's like once we kind of got rolling, we kind of knew what we were doing. So it was a little easier as it went on to just be like, yeah, what about this? And they were like, yeah, great.
Now, we have a lot of young people who are watch this channel. What would you, if you could go back and tell yourself something when you were just getting started, something that you didn't realize about the industry, what would that be?
Ooh. What would I tell myself? That's a very good question. I would say something about probably like about the business in general is that networking as maybe as whatever it sounds at the beginning is very important. Just like getting you're working with people for a very long time, so it's all about how you guys meld with each other. I know it's a lot about cinematography too and how it looks, but like that's a craft that you can kind of work on and whatever, but you're not going to really get that opportunity if you can't just have a cup of coffee with someone and talk with them for like hours about life kind of stuff.
What would you say was one of the more challenging things to shoot in They Call Me Magic?
Probably locations where it was just all windows and windows in the background, and they wanted wanted like the skyline and stuff like that, and we with limited gear trying to get up and exposed for the inside and the outside and not see the reflection of the lights and stuff, but in a very short amount of time too.
Yeah. So like when you when I talk to cinematographers or colorists, I always ask about, do you guys have like where do you go for inspiration? Like, do you have particular artists or photographers that you go to? So where do you turn for that inspiration and projects?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of from other great cinematographers doing other movies and stuff like that. But I do a lot of photography and just art in general, kind of inspirations. I do like William Eggleston and his photography, and there's tons of other cinematographers that I draw a lot of inspiration from.
What is it about his cinematography that makes you inspired?
Oh, well, Eggleston, I mean, like it's just his photography is a little kind of naturalistic and slice of life, and showing a kind of a lot of emotion within the image itself of just the lighting and the subject and stuff like that.
Yeah. So do you I guess like from a photography standpoint, do you look for like street photography type inspiration?
You mean like kind of just raw, kind of not set up so much?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that is a lot of naturalistic kind of looks.
Yeah. Interesting. So yeah, you worked with another cinematographer on this project, They Call Me Magic. How did you guys divide up the work?
So, some of it was just availability. Like I said before, there's a lot of days on different things and the schedule was kind of all over the place. So really it just came down to if one of us wasn't available, that we just kind of reach out to the other and like, hey, is there anything to share? That kind of thing.
So how did you guys make sure that you were on the same page visually for it? Or was that something you worked more with the director on?
Probably more with the director on. Yeah.
All right. Now I have like you've done a lot of documentary work. Are you interested in doing fiction work? Have you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What would you say is something that you've learned from documentary that you carry over into your fiction cinematography work?
To go along with a little bit what was said before was just that walking into a space and kind of trying to make a split decision in a very little amount of time, and so you don't get behind. And a lot of my fiction work comes with there's a little bit more preparation, but things don't go a certain way, or the director wants to change up how they move, actors move in a certain space, and to have that kind of doc experience of just like kind of feeling out the natural thing and how to like kind of do the best on location. I think it's very helpful for sure.
Is there something you've taken from fiction that you carry over into documentaries?
Fiction carrying over, yeah, I mean, like kind of a lot of the prep stuff that goes along with fiction just kind of inherently kind of helps you prepare for the doc stuff in some weird way. I don't know if I can like kind of like pinpoint it, but it
Yeah.
does kind of help a lot.
So my final question for you is, what would you say is your favorite guilty pleasure film or TV show to watch?
It's I guess two. One would be like has nothing to do so much with cinematography, but it's Seinfeld.
Oh yeah.
It's just so fun, and like the themes and the comedy I still feel like it rings true to today.
Yeah.
And then the other one, like movie wise, would be Mission Impossible. Like kind of, it's like fun to watch.
Now, for Seinfeld, how do you feel about the blow up that they did, or the widescreen version for Netflix? Because some people are upset about that.
Oh, it's fine. I mean, like I know, but it's not like it was meant. I mean, the content is what is all about Seinfeld. So I would feel probably differently if it was more of a cinematic kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for letting me interview you today.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on.
And that's it for this week. Make sure to check us out next week. You can always check us out on filmmakeru.com, or of course follow us on Twitter at filmmaker_u. I'm Gordon Baruchel. Thanks for watching. Today's episode of Filmmaker U is brought to you by our sponsors OWC. Go to owcdigital.com for all your filmmaking and computer needs. And it's also brought to you by our other sponsors, AJA. Make sure to check out aja.com so that you can see how they can help you in your post-production needs.